A dog blocks a police car on the road. The reason why will leave you in tears.
Before we start, please subscribe to the channel. Your subscription means everything to us, and it's the only way for the stories of these beautiful animals, who often suffer in silence, to reach more people. It helps us keep our work going. Please subscribe now.
In a quiet town, where the sun barely broke through the clouds, a loyal dog named Max stood resolute in the middle of the street. His fur was matted with rainwater, and his eyes, a deep sorrowful brown, were fixed on something hidden just beyond the reach of the storm drain. Days turned into weeks, and still, he never moved from his post. The world around him carried on. Cars passed, people hurried by, but Max remained a steadfast guardian. The weather was bleak, with dark clouds hanging low, casting shadows over the town. The distant rumble of thunder echoed like a warning. People glanced at the dog with curiosity, some even stopping to pat him, but Max seemed to pay them no mind. His focus was unwavering, as if he were waiting for something or someone. As the days dragged on, whispers spread through the community. "What's wrong with that dog?" they asked. "Why won't he leave?" The police, intrigued by the spectacle, decided to investigate. One fateful afternoon, they pulled up in their patrol car, lights flashing, the siren cutting through the tension in the air. Max barked furiously, his body tense, as if he knew they needed to see what lay beneath the surface. With each passing moment, the mystery deepened. The officer stepped out, unsure of what to expect, but Max's determination was palpable. "Is he protecting something?" one officer asked, squinting at the drain. If this story is touching your heart, make sure to subscribe for more incredible stories like this one. The moment hung heavy in the air, and just as the police officer took a step closer, Max lunged forward, blocking their path. His growl was deep, warning them to stay back. It was a moment of pure tension, the kind that makes your heart race. What could possibly be so important that this brave dog would risk everything to protect? The officers exchanged glances, their curiosity piqued. They had no idea what awaited them, but they were about to uncover a story that would change everything. As they crouched down to Max's level, they noticed a faint sound coming from the drain, a soft whimpering, barely audible above the wind. It was then that the pieces began to fall into place. Max wasn't just guarding a drain. He was guarding hope. The storm drain held a secret, one that would lead them to a heart-wrenching revelation. And as they leaned in closer, the truth began to unravel, leaving them and you breathless. As Max stood guard in the pouring rain, the townsfolk began to notice the strange behavior of the once cheerful dog. It had been weeks since anyone had seen him wag his tail or chase after a ball. Instead, he stood fiercely protective, unwavering in his mission. Shopkeepers from the corner store, a warm little place called Millie's Market, began to take notice. Millie herself, a kind-hearted woman with a penchant for baking, would often leave out scraps of food for Max. "Eat something, boy," she would call out, her voice tinged with worry. But no matter how tempting the treats, Max wouldn't budge. His eyes remained locked on the drain, his body taut with purpose. Children whispered as they passed by, their eyes wide with curiosity. What's he waiting for? They wondered aloud, glancing back at their parents who offered no answers. The little ones would imagine all sorts of scenarios. Some believed he was waiting for a lost family member, while others entertained the idea that he was guarding a treasure hidden deep within the drain. As the days turned into a week, the tension in the air grew thick. Neighbors began to gather, drawn by the magnetic pull of Max's unwavering stance. "I think he's looking for someone," said Mr. Thompson, the local schoolteacher, stroking his beard thoughtfully. "Maybe he lost his owner." Across the street, Mrs. Alvarez, a retired nurse, shook her head. No, he's protecting something. Just look at him. He's determined." She pointed a finger, her voice rising in excitement as she spoke of the dog's bravery. The local animal rescue group caught wind of the commotion, and soon a couple of volunteers arrived, armed with treats and gentle words. "Let's see if he'll respond to us," one of them said, crouching low to offer a piece of kibble. But Max only growled softly, a warning rumble that sent shivers down their spines. "What's wrong with him?" one volunteer asked, her brow furrowed with concern. "He's usually so friendly." All around, speculation ran wild. Some believed Max was haunted by memories of a lost companion, while others thought he was simply too confused to move. "Maybe he thinks he's guarding a secret," whispered a teenage girl, her imagination running wild. The police officers, still perplexed by the scene, returned the next day. This time, they brought along a local animal behaviorist named Sarah. She approached with a calm demeanor, her presence a soothing balm amidst the tension. "Let me try," she said gently, kneeling beside Max. "Max," she cooed, her voice soft and reassuring. "We're here to help you. What are you protecting?" For a moment, it seemed the whole world held its breath. The air was electric with anticipation, as if the universe itself was waiting for Max to respond. But he stayed steadfast, not even flinching at her soothing words. As the days passed, the townsfolk continued to rally around Max, leaving food and water, but he remained unmoved. The rain continued to pour, and still, he watched over that storm drain, his loyalty never wavering. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm glow over the town, a little girl named Lily approached Max. She was small and timid, but her heart was big. "Please, Max," she said softly, her voice barely a whisper. "Are you waiting for someone?" Max turned his head ever so slightly, his eyes meeting hers. In that moment, something shifted. The townsfolk watched in silence, their hearts pounding in their chests. Lily reached out a small hand, extending it toward Max. "You can trust me," she pleaded, her innocence shining through. "I just want to help." Max blinked slowly, and for the first time, the tension in his body seemed to ease, if only a fraction. The townsfolk felt a wave of hope wash over them, a glimmer of understanding sparking within the air. "What if he's waiting for a puppy?" someone suggested, breaking the silence. "Maybe he's protecting his little friend." The thought hung in the air, and the crowd murmured in agreement. It was a possibility that tugged at their hearts, igniting a flicker of compassion. Yet, amidst this newfound hope, a sense of urgency loomed. If Max was indeed guarding something precious, they needed to act. They needed to find out what lay beneath that storm drain. As twilight fell, the police officers gathered again, this time with shovels and a determination that reflected Max's own steadfastness. They knew they were on the brink of uncovering something profound. "Stay back, everyone," one officer called, his voice steady but filled with emotion. "Let's see what Max has been guarding all this time." If this story is touching your heart, make sure to subscribe for more incredible stories like this one. As they began to dig, the air thick with anticipation, the townspeople held their breath. What could they possibly find? The questions raced through their minds, swirling with the promise of revelation. And in the heart of it all, Max stood resolute, his eyes gleaming with the hope of what was to come. The mystery deepened with each scoop of earth, and with each passing moment, the tension escalated, wrapping around them like the storm clouds above. What secrets lay hidden beneath the surface? What was Max truly protecting? The answers were just within reach, but the emotional weight of the moment was almost too much to bear. As the officers delved deeper into the ground, they could feel the eyes of the entire town upon them, each person silently praying for a miracle. And just when it seemed as if the weight of uncertainty might crush them all, a glimmer of light caught their attention from within the drain. What could it be? The air was thick with suspense, and as they drew closer, the world around them faded, leaving only the promise of hope and the love of a loyal dog who had stood guard for far too long. As the digging continued, the atmosphere grew thick with anticipation, each shovel full of earth echoing like a heartbeat in the quiet town. The townsfolk stood close together, eyes glued to the officers, their collective breath held tight. What had Max been guarding all this time? What lay beneath the surface, hidden away from prying eyes? Suddenly, the sound of sirens pierced the air, cutting through the tension like a knife. Animal control had arrived, hoping to catch the elusive dog that had captured the heart of the community. The crowd turned, eyes wide with concern. "They shouldn't try to take him," someone exclaimed, their voice filled with protective instinct. But the officers were already moving towards Max, their posture cautious yet determined. Max, sensing the approach of the strangers, lowered his body, a low growl rumbling from deep within his chest. His eyes, once warm and welcoming, now burned with a fierce determination. The growl sent a chill through the air, and the townsfolk instinctively stepped back, a wave of unease washing over them. "What's he hiding?" whispered Mrs. Alvarez, her brow furrowed with worry. The townspeople exchanged nervous glances, their hearts racing. What could be so important that Max would defend it with such ferocity? As the animal control officer inched closer, Max's growl deepened. The officer paused, his hand hovering uncertainly. "Easy, boy," he soothed, trying to maintain a calm demeanor. But the heat of Max's gaze remained unwavering. It was as if the dog were saying, "You shall not pass." In that moment, a chilling silence enveloped the crowd. They could feel the weight of the dog's loyalty, the gravity of his watchful stance. Had he been abandoned? Was he lost? Or was he perhaps linked to an old legend whispered among the townsfolk? Many recalled the tales of a lost puppy, said to have vanished near the storm drain years ago, leaving behind a family shattered with grief. Some even spoke of a protective spirit, a guardian dog that had once roamed the area, watching over those who had lost their way. Could it be that Max had taken on this role, embodying the spirit of the past, waiting for something or someone to return? Just then, a young boy, emboldened by curiosity, stepped forward. "Maybe he just wants to play," he shouted, clenching a ball in his small hand. The crowd gasped, their eyes darting between the boy and Max. Would this innocent gesture shatter the delicate balance of hope and fear? "Don't!" someone shouted, but it was too late. The boy tossed the ball a few feet away. Max's eyes shifted for a fleeting second, a momentary distraction, but then he turned back to the drain, growling more intensely. The boy stepped back, realizing the gravity of his mistake as the tension thickened once more. The townsfolk felt a strange mix of anticipation and dread. Was the ball a catalyst, a signal that would unveil the truth? Or had the boy unwittingly provoked Max's deep-rooted instincts? They watched in silence, their hearts pounding, as the officers resumed their digging, the sound of metal against earth filling the air. Then, from the depths of the drain, a glimmer of something caught the fading light. It sparkled like a jewel, drawing the attention of everyone present. "What is that?" someone gasped, eyes widening. The mystery deepened, and with it, the sense of urgency grew. "Keep digging," one officer urged, his voice steady but laced with excitement. As they worked, the light grew more prominent, casting an ethereal glow that danced in the rain-soaked darkness. The crowd leaned closer, drawn by a force they couldn't explain. Suddenly, Max leaped forward, positioning himself over the hole with fierce protectiveness. His body was taut, every muscle primed, as if he was ready to defend his secret at all costs. The air was electric with tension, and the townsfolk felt an overwhelming sense of connection, their hearts synchronized with the loyal dog's unwavering resolve. "Max, what are you protecting?" Sarah, the animal behaviorist, called out, her voice filled with a mix of authority and compassion. But Max only growled, his eyes still fixed on the shimmering light. The townsfolk held their breath, feeling the weight of the moment, knowing that they were on the cusp of discovery. And then, just as the earth shifted under the pressure of the digging, the unexpected happened. A sudden, sharp bark erupted from Max, a sound filled with urgency that sent shockwaves through the crowd. They all jumped back, startled, as if the very ground beneath them had come alive. "What's wrong, boy?" Mr. Thompson asked, his voice trembling with concern. It was a question that hung in the air, resonating with the fear of the unknown. Was this the moment they had all been waiting for, or the beginning of something more sinister? As the officers paused, the tension palpable, the crowd's anticipation grew. They could feel the heartbeat of the town, the pulse of a community drawn together by a shared love for a dog who had become a beacon of hope. If this story is touching your heart, make sure to subscribe for more incredible stories like this one. The officers exchanged glances, each of them understanding the significance of the moment. As they resumed their work, their determination mirrored Max's own. What lay hidden in the depths of the drain, the truth was just within reach, and with every passing second, the mystery only deepened, pulling the townsfolk closer to a revelation that could change everything. As the officers paused, the air thick with tension, a hush fell over the crowd. Every person present felt the weight of the moment, hearts racing as they shared in the anticipation. The shimmering light from the depths of the drain continued to pulse, casting a strange glow on the faces of the onlookers, illuminating their expressions of hope and uncertainty. What secrets lay beneath? What revelation awaited them? In that charged silence, amid the anxious whispers and the rustling of clothing, a figure emerged from the fringes of the crowd. A passerby, bundled in a thick coat against the chill, stepped forward, clutching a flashlight tightly. The beam of light cut through the darkness, slicing through the fog of mystery that enveloped the scene. With trembling hands, the stranger approached the drain, each step deliberate, as if drawn by an unseen force. The crowd watched with bated breath, their collective heartbeats echoing in the stillness. The passerby knelt before the drain and, with a deep, steadying breath, began to lift the heavy cover. The sound of metal scraping against concrete echoed like a tolling bell, signaling the turning point in their story. As the cover finally gave way, a rush of cold air escaped from the depths, carrying with it the scent of damp earth and something more, something that felt alive. The passerby shone the flashlight into the darkness, illuminating the unseen space below. The beam danced across the walls of the drain, revealing damp, shadowy corners that seemed to hold secrets of their own. And then, a gasp erupted from the crowd, sharp and collective, as the light fell upon what lay beneath. Tears welled up in the eyes of onlookers as the realization hit them like a wave crashing against the shore. There, nestled in the shadows, was not just a glimmer of something shiny, but a litter of tiny, shivering puppies. Their small bodies, mottled with dirt and fear, were huddled together for warmth, their soft whimpers echoing in the confined space. Max, sensing the presence of his charges, let out a series of barks that rang with urgency and joy. His growl transformed into a symphony of protective calls, as if he were announcing to the world, "They are here. They are safe." The townsfolk reeled at the sight, understanding now the depth of Max's loyalty and the reason for his fierce guard. He had been protecting these innocent lives all along. The crowd surged forward, a mix of excitement and overwhelming emotion filling the air. Parents shielded their children's eyes, while others rushed to find blankets and food, their hearts swelling with compassion. A wave of realization washed over them. This dog was not just a guardian. He was a savior. Max had watched over the pups, keeping them safe from harm, all while they had assumed he was simply a stray, lost and alone. Tears streamed down Mrs. Alvarez's cheeks as she crouched down, her heart breaking for the small creatures that had been hidden from view. "Oh, Max," she whispered, her voice choked with emotion. "You've been their protector this whole time." The townsfolk shared in her sentiment, feeling the weight of their misunderstanding lift as the truth unfolded before their eyes. As the officers worked to carefully extract the tiny puppies from the drain, the crowd erupted into a chorus of supportive murmurs, a tide of love and gratitude washing over them. Each puppy was cradled in gentle hands, their soft fur a reminder of the fragility of life and the depth of loyalty that Max had displayed. One by one, the puppies were brought into the light, their eyes blinking against the brilliance of the sun, each one looking up at Max, who now stood tall and proud, his tail wagging fiercely as if to say, "They are safe now." The bond between the dog and his little charges was undeniable, a connection forged in the fires of protection and love. And in that moment, the townsfolk understood Max was not merely a dog. He was a symbol of hope, a guardian of the lost. The stories they had whispered in fear had transformed into tales of triumph. The legend of the lost puppy had taken on a new life, and the spirit of the guardian dog now pulsed vibrantly within Max's loyal heart. As the crowd dispersed, a newfound excitement filled the air. Families began to adopt the puppies, while others offered to foster them, ensuring that no creature would ever feel abandoned again. Max, surrounded by his newfound family, basked in the love and warmth that enveloped him, a testament to the power of loyalty, community, and the bonds that transcend misunderstanding. What had begun as a day shrouded in mystery and fear had blossomed into a heartwarming tale of connection and redemption. The townsfolk departed with a renewed sense of purpose, inspired by the courage of a dog who had guarded not just a secret, but a legacy of love that would resonate through generations. As the last puppy was cradled into the arms of a grateful child, a wave of warmth washed over the crowd. The air was thick with the scent of hope, mingled with the lingering aroma of the damp earth from the drain. Max stood at the center of it all, his coat glistening in the sunlight, eyes shining with pride and contentment. He was no longer just a stray. He had transformed into a guardian, a hero. In the days that followed, the community rallied around Max and his tiny charges with an outpouring of love and resources. Local businesses donated food and supplies, while families opened their doors to foster the puppies, ensuring they would never know the cold shadows of abandonment again. The town spirit was rekindled, and the bond between the people and their furry friends deepened with each passing day. As the puppies grew stronger, so did the connection they shared with the townsfolk. Mrs. Alvarez, who had once looked at Max with uncertainty, now became his greatest advocate, organizing adoption events and educating others on the importance of compassion toward animals. "Every creature deserves a chance," she would say, her voice filled with conviction, and the townsfolk listened, eager to be part of this new chapter. Max, once perceived as merely a stray, now roamed the streets with his head held high, his tail wagging as he greeted familiar faces. Children would run up to him, laughter echoing through the air as they showered him with affection. He had become a symbol of unity, a living testament to the power of loyalty and love that transcends misunderstanding. One sunny afternoon, as families gathered for a community picnic, a local artist unveiled a mural at the park, an enormous painting of Max, surrounded by the puppies he had protected. The colors were vibrant and full of life, capturing the essence of the bond that had formed. People gathered around, their hearts swelling with pride and joy, as the artist shared the story behind the mural, a tale of bravery, love, and the importance of standing guard for those who cannot protect themselves. "Let this mural remind us," the artist proclaimed, voice steady and passionate, "that sometimes it's not just about survival. It's about love, loyalty, and the courage to stand guard for what matters most." The crowd erupted into applause, their spirits lifted, as they reflected on the journey they had shared. As the weeks turned into months, the puppies found their forever homes, each adoption filled with tears of joy and promises of love. The families who welcomed them into their lives knew they were gaining more than just a pet. They were embracing a legacy of compassion that Max had ignited within their community. If this story is touching your heart, make sure to subscribe for more incredible stories like this one. The impact of this transformation rippled through the town. New friendships formed between residents, united by a common purpose. Neighborhoods began hosting pet-friendly events where people shared their stories of rescue and love, igniting a passion for animal welfare that had long been dormant. Max, the once forgotten stray, had sparked a movement, one that would ensure no creature would ever feel alone again. In the quiet moments of reflection, the townsfolk found themselves changed by this experience. They understood that their perceptions could be flawed and that compassion could bridge the gaps of misunderstanding. Max had taught them that every soul, no matter how small or seemingly insignificant, deserves a chance at love and a place to call home. As the seasons changed and the years rolled on, the story of Max and his puppies became woven into the fabric of the community. It was a tale told and retold, a legacy of love that inspired generations. Children who had once cowered in fear of the dog now grew up with Max's image in their hearts, remembering the lessons he had taught them about loyalty, courage, and the profound impact one creature can have on many. And so, the tale of the stray dog who became a guardian echoed through the town, a reminder that love can be found in the most unexpected places, and that the bonds we forge with those around us can create a ripple effect of kindness that lasts a lifetime. In this way, Max was more than just a dog. He was a beacon of hope, a symbol of the enduring spirit of community, and a testament to the incredible power of love.